Captain Picard. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
My Readier Room.
Hello, and welcome to the Readier Room, the only and the longest-running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Ours is the only one that has on-set stories from production and all the behind-the-scenes secrets to let loose for everyone to hear. My name is Mitchell Mells, Chief Consultant of Services, Paramount Studios, and with me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs. Brandon, how are we doing this week?
Permission to speak candidly, Mitch?
Granted.
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. We got a fun Klingon episode this week.
Right.
It's all good.
You better cling on to your seat, lest you get blown away. Yeah. Okay. Thought that would get more of a laugh, but
well, no, I gave you a ho ho ho.
Right. No, I thought it would get more of a laugh. Not
what,
a
from
laugh,
the audience.
No, from you. Just more of a laugh, like a guffaw.
It was good.
A rolling chuckle.
It was good. I don't know if I would roll.
Well, I'll have to try harder next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that slight failure aside, we got another rip-roaring episode of the Readier Room to get readier for today. And just like any episode of the Readier Room, this one starts with a question sent in by a Readier fan. This one comes all the way from Korea, from KJ Un, who asks, who was the unsung hero on the set of TNG? By the way, big fan of the show, your show, and could you please give a shout out to my friend Kathy? Stay ready here, Kathy. Yeah, okay. So, yes, Kathy, we hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you being a fan and supporting us. Love it, love it, love it. But getting back to KJ's question about unsung heroes on the set, I think now, for the common fan, there might be some answers that come to mind. Like maybe a supporting cast member, somebody like Meanie, who was just there and kind of tying the set together, doing some work on camera. But really, there's only one answer to this question, and that has to go to two guys. And those are the two guys responsible for making the quote-unquote automatic doors on the Enterprise function. Anytime you see a character walk into a lift or go into another room, and the door either slides up or slides apart, left and right, that is all the work of two guys, Alex Bronson, Jeff Farrow. They were partners for almost the entirety of the show's run, and the synchronicity that they had in getting those doors open was unreal. Especially the lifts, which open from the center left to right. Like, they both had to be perfectly in time to get that working and get the effect.
And it was even crazier because it was like a crank type mechanism, right? For
exactly.
A lot of these things. And not only did they have to time that, completely in sync, those things were loud.
Right. And all of the work of kind of masking that noise, doing it at opportune times when there might be another noise going on that would mask it, like all those decisions fell onto them, and they nailed it. It was like their partnership was like, pitcher and catcher, basically. Just two perfectly in sync minds, like a mind meld, the Vulcan stuff. Unfortunately, early in season 6, Alex passed away due to prostate cancer that he had, and after that, Jeff was never really the same. He still kept his job. He worked with other people, but you could tell. You watch those doors in the later seasons, you could tell. And I attribute the decline of the series in its later seasons to the loss of Alex. So, wherever you are, friends, in heaven, please stay readier.
Stay readier.
But excellent question, KJ. And anybody else out there who has a question that they want us to answer on the show, you can email us at thereadierroom@gmail.com. That's with a capital T, capital R, and another capital R. Or you can DM us on Twitter which I believe is at the Readier Room. So we're looking forward to your questions, and at this point we're having to keep you guys away with a stick, beat you away with a stick. So many questions coming in, but we're
sorry we can't get to every single one of them.
Yes, if in a perfect world we would just have endless questions. In fact, we might do just an entire episode of answering fan questions if
that would be a good idea.
If that's something you guys are interested in. But we certainly have the volume to do it. So perhaps look forward to that in the future. But for now, we're going to get to today's episode, which I know for sure is episode 19.
It is episode 19, you are correct.
Yes. And I know this because when I was on Netflix to watch it, I saw the ordinal number next to the title. And I was like,
that is usually how you tell, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm on the ball. And the name of the episode, I also know it's Heart of Glory, 2 for 2 on information. And
we're killing it already.
We're killing it. And this is the culmination of the increased Worf presence. First, it started with some lines of dialogue, then a scene shared with the main character of that episode, which is Leslie Crusher, and now the Worf episode.
Yes, finally we get a Klingon episode. I'm very happy. You know, there's something about the Klingons that, for good reason, resonate with people. And you know, as we go through this episode, I'm sure we'll discuss more deeply the kind of positives and negatives there are in the way they're treated as a race, I suppose, in Star Trek. But they're just great. I love them. I love episodes about them. I could watch an entire series about them.
Well, it's cool because Klingons have like the most attention paid to their culture out of any alien race in the show. And
that's true.
To some extent more than Earth people or the Federation. The Klingons just have a much more pronounced culture and society. And I mean, they have language, which is also its own fleshed out thing. And it makes for a very compelling species, I guess, culture.
It's interesting science fiction.
It is. And the episodes with Klingons that work best deal with that culture gap, I think. Whether it's
for sure
like Picard dealing with Klingon affairs and on their terms, or Worf reconciling his Klingon-ness with his place in the Federation, which is what this episode touches on. But both of those themes are explored later on in much greater detail, and they both work really well.
Yeah, I mean, this is another episode. It's of course season 1. It's got a lot of great ideas that, as usual, I feel like we say this every episode, a lot of great ideas that kind of fall flat, that aren't really explored in the way they should be, or are kind of ham-fisted in their presentation.
It could be like The Naked Now, which had no good ideas.
That's true, and that's I'm giving the devil his due here. That's why I like this episode. I would recommend people watch this episode, as opposed to The Naked.
Well, we got our recommendation out of the way, so let's go to this week's trivia, and we'll be done.
But yeah, we got it's a Rob Bowman episode. Rob Bowman returns directing, which is always a treat.
Yeah, he was always a pleasure to have in the chair.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and out of the chair when
later on
that happened.
Right.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, he really knew how to control it. Right. The chair, that is. He although he was sitting down the whole time, he definitely had a presence, despite being so young too.
It foreboded good things for his career.
Absolutely. So yeah, why don't we dive right into it? I kind of want to go like chronologically. I think this episode kind of just touch on things as they come. There's a lot to talk about here.
There is. I forget exactly under what pretense the episode starts. I think it's just with them heading to investigate an errant ship.
Yeah, it is. And one of the most bizarre lines ever is uttered within the first several seconds.
I quoted
of the episode. Should we separate the saucer?
Yeah. Yep. So that's a line that only makes sense with a meta context to it, and it only makes sense to a very select amount of people. But Riker is very eager to separate the saucer for really no reason. They're not even under duress. They don't have reason to suspect that they're in danger. But Riker's like, let's separate the saucer, and Picard shoots him down, which really was just the writer's way of acknowledging how many times they wanted to separate the saucer in various scripts that have also been shut down by higher ups. Like, we don't want to do this effect, or it's not going to work for this story, whatever reason. That exact exchange played out very, very often during season 1. And at this point, it's like kind of an inside baseball joke. Like, Riker wants to separate the saucer. Picard won't let him. Ha ha ha. And if you're not on the staff, then you look at this and you're like, why?
Riker, Mitch, I didn't even know that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, you'd only pick it up if you specifically like heard the writers gripe about this, or if you talked to them about it, because there's really no indication that it's meant to be played for laughs. And I think it's cool sometimes to have like that kind of cheeky reference that the audience won't pick up on, but not when it's as vexing as this, when it looks like Riker's is bad at his job and reactionary.
It is vexing, isn't it? It's very vexing. I mean, this is... I do think it's mentioned later, though, isn't it? When the Klingons try to escape.
Oh, is that the function that it quote unquote serves in the script? It's like we have to remind the audience that this can serve. Well, no, that doesn't work, because when Worf brings it up to the Klingons, he explains it in full detail. He's like, know, the Enterprise becomes quite the weapon when it's relieved of its bulk, and it's like, okay, well, I understand now. We didn't need this earlier, man. But this wouldn't have been as vexing or confusing if any of those attempted saucer steps had gone through in the past episodes.
Just, they use the saucer step, or they try to use the saucer step in situations where they don't need to. They fail to use it when they do need to.
Right.
It's a mess.
How many plots in this show involve like all of the civilians aboard the Enterprise being in mortal danger because they were dragged into some like wormhole or something when they could have just separated?
And I think that's why we decided to kind of just let the saucer step thing die out, because it did rob any situation of any kind of urgency, like that, where the solution would just be, we'll just separate the ship and throw the civilians out into space.
It's the same thing with Dr. Crusher, bringing people back from the dead. How much dramatic tension can you reasonably have when that's a thing that you can do?
Yeah. You kind of gloss over it, and just hope the audience doesn't pick up. So they go and investigate this ship, and I gotta say, when you watch the Netflix version of this, the differences between the old and new special effects when you see this ship are astounding. Did you notice this?
I did. And there's also a shot of the Enterprise in space where it's a static image of the Enterprise over a not static image of space. And it's extremely jarring.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. There's not much you can do with the budget they probably had to redo these special effects, but I mean, come on, it's very jarring.
Right. I'll let it go in season 1, but we'll talk about this again later. Before we get to the ship, though, there's something that I wanted to touch on at the beginning, where when they're discussing the situation with like the neutral zone and such, they're like, it couldn't be the Ferengi, was it the Romulans? And I like perk up, like, what, Romulans? Really? Come on, we're doing it? No, we're not doing it. There's no Romulans here. I was so, because knowing what I know about the Romulans, I quite like them as a villain, and I was like, oh, right. Did they first pop up here? I don't really remember. No, they didn't. I wish they did. It's like, the Klingon story is cool, but it seemed like a really good opportunity to introduce that in the TNG. Now, and the Romulans are a holdover from the original series, I think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I guess when you're in the neutral zone, you're starting the episode in the neutral zone, you would think that, yes, this would be a Romulan-centric episode. I can't say I share your enthusiasm for the Romulans.
Is it
not that I dislike them?
Is it because they're blocky?
Blocky.
They're quite blocky. They wear like
what, like their haircuts?
Well, their haircuts and like the clothes they wear, like the shoulder pads are really blocky. Their sleeves are like rectangular prisms.
I mean, they have attractive women, you know.
Right, but like the design of their fashion and their
I don't worry about that. It's just I just happen to think Klingon women are hotter. That's all.
What was your opinion on the Klingon woman Riker brought to the bridge for Worf to have like combat sex with?
I thought she was very attractive.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? No, I like that this is a Klingon episode.
Yeah,
I like that our expectations were what's the word?
Subverted.
Subverted. That's it. Yes. Yeah.
Does the neutral zone pop up later in season 1? Was it just them introducing it?
Sure it does. I'm sure it does. If I'm remembering correctly, it does, but I may be remembering completely wrong. So, but it will pop up again regardless. So
that's true.
It could just be an introduction to the concept. I mean, no, we've talked about it before.
The neutral zone,
haven't we?
I don't think
it already showed up. Hasn't it?
I think it. I don't think it has.
I
don't disagree with you on that.
No,
one.
No, it definitely has.
Where did it show up?
It has already shown up. I don't know.
Oh, but
I know it has.
Yeah.
After this, I'm gonna Google and we're gonna look through the scripts. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull them out of my drawer here.
Yeah.
I got all the scripts in my drawer here. I'm gonna pull them out one by one. We're going through them
page for
line
page,
by line until we find. Yes, and we're gonna act it out together.
Oh, that sounds.
We're gonna separate roles.
You know what? We'll do that. We'll put it up on the Patreon for our patrons. To hear us
there we go.
Do a live reading of different TNG scripts.
Right, like back in the good old days, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So if that's something you want to hear and you're not, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Readier Room, and I think it's tier 3. Did nobody get that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tier 3.
Okay.
Yep. Stay readier.
Stay readier. But for now, for the free stuff, can't give that away. So, they eventually get to this ship that's like marooned, and they go to beam aboard with an away team of Riker, Data, Geordi, which is just peak main characters only.
Can I just note that they replaced Geordi with another Geordi on the bridge while he's away?
I'm sorry, what?
They replaced Geordi with another Geordi, you know. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yes. It's, they have a quota to meet.
It seems oddly specific, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember that episode, I think season 2, there's a famous gif of it with, like, that black guy who, like, is gripping his head and, like, he, like, convulses and dies on the bridge and, like, in Geordi's seat. Yeah. That's Geordi. Right, Geordi 2.
Right.
It just keeps happening. So this excursion is an extremely confusing endeavor.
It really is.
So to describe it in broad terms, the Enterprise crew boards a ship. They find Klingon refugees and they beam them back. That's pretty simple. I described that in like 15 seconds. Maybe it would play out over, 3 minutes. Not to be. Instead, we have a subplot, I would say, where Geordi is transmitting video remotely from his visor so that the Enterprise can see what's happening where he is through his visor. And everybody is amazed by this. They're like, oh my god, we can transmit video live? Really?
I refuse to believe that seeing through Geordi's visor in a situation like this is at all novel. Like,
no.
It had to have happened before. I mean, just in the creation of this tech, someone had to have seen through it.
Right. And it's they do it for the purpose of having a remote viewing of what everybody's seeing. And it's like, later on in the episode, you have a video call with a Klingon ship, God knows how far away, in real time, live video streaming. Like, what is the significance of needing to see this through Geordi's visor?
No, yeah, and I really have to talk about just how trite the conversation is between Picard and Geordi.
Oh, it's bad.
It's very bad. It's awkward. It's like stunted, and the content is just horrible. So like Picard asked Geordi, how do you distinguish what you see? Right? How do you distinguish the visual noise? Like separate the subject from the visual noise all around. And Geordi kind of shakes his head and laughs. He's like, Captain. He says, how do you hear in a noisy room? And then they both say, something you learn. Yeah, and no, it's not. That's kind of an inherent skill of human beings that they're born with. It's one of the things that autistic children have an issue with.
Right.
That's part of what makes them autistic.
Yes.
It's not a skill that you learn.
The amount of reverence paid to it is what's weird to me.
It feels like it feels like that picture, that Facebook picture of like today we congratulated Tyrone for being a black teen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this sequence goes on for such a long time, where it's not a throwaway line or a throwaway exchange of dialogue. It's consistently like, this is the point of this scene to establish how miraculous Geordi is. I don't know. But like, the only reason this made it in at all is because we had the effect lying around for the visuals. It was like part of some music video that our effects guy saw, and he's like, I want that effect. Right, I'm getting it. So he called his connections, he got it together, and he's like, I did it, guys, I have this effect. And the writers are like, well, what are we gonna do with it? And he was just so enthusiastic that we had to find something, and hence this. But that doesn't explain away the amount of lip service the characters pay to Geordi and his visor. And
that could have been done a lot better.
And I wish it had been something like, oh, your ability to see infrared things or whatever, not visible things, is extremely pertinent to our mission here. Because, like, yes, he ultimately sees that the hull is losing its integrity, but at the same time, they didn't know that going in. So making it necessary to prep Geordi's visor ahead of time is, was coincidentally useful. Whereas had it been something like, oh, Geordi, we need you to analyze the air on this ship or something, and we need to see it too, so we're gonna outfit you with this, would make it more logically acceptable than what it is.
Yeah, like they've had away missions on abandoned ships before, and they've never needed to outfit Geordi with any of this stuff.
And let me tell you, they'll never need to do it again.
That's for sure.
So they eventually find the Klingons, and the Klingons are immediately cagey about their history and intentions. But they beam them back. There's 3 of them. One of them's dying. Crusher decides that she's not going to play God today and lets him die.
Eventually, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They go and eat food with Worf though first.
Right, and then they come back. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to note that the replicator has Klingon food in it.
Right, and it recognizes Klingon speech, which maybe that's how Worf talks to it. I'll accept it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Klingon speech. You're bringing up, kind of a sour topic here, which is
well, you brought it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, you said it recognized Klingon speech. The Klingons spend some time, getting to know Worf, before they go back to watch their comrade die, right?
Yeah, they customarily bully him.
Yeah. I mean, not even just bully though. One of them has a weird monologue, right? Vaughn's character. He's standing behind Worf as he looks outside the window, and I don't remember Klingons ever being this verbose. which I thought was kind of.
I wrote that down in my notes. I'm like, for a warrior race that only cares about violence, the Klingons sure talk a lot about their feelings.
Yeah. It is kind of like, the kids might say a female trait, you know. But I have to say this episode gets a lot of flack for having like fake Klingon, right? There's a few throwaway lines in this episode, and I gotta say, I think the fans tend to miss the forest for the trees here, because this is the first Klingon-centric TNG episode, and we see the whole plan with the Klingons since the inception of TNG itself was to kind of paint them as analogs to African Americans, as I think we've already talked about. And this episode does a lot of heavy lifting to set that up. In the scene we just talked about, where they actually several scenes where they kind of get to know Worf. We learn that Worf has no father, right? Klingons are genetically predisposed to violence. Yes. This kind of stuff. It's a clear parallel, and so when they're getting their Klingon food from the replicator that knows how to make it for some reason and recognizes Klingon speech. The Klingon speech that we do hear in the show, it's something of a retooling to incorporate elements of like modern slang, right? I would think of it as sort of a Klingon AAVE. So you look at the script of this episode, and you'll notice most of the quote fake words are really just contractions of words you've already heard in the original series, and it's so obvious that I can't believe the fans missed it. Maurice, who wrote the script for this, he was so proud of it, but we just got so much hate mail. We had to walk it back. These are people who have studied the Klingon language for at this point decades, right?
Right. Well,
so,
people just don't like. People don't like to accept that language evolves.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And that was part of the statement as well, is that so much time has passed here that the Klingons are obviously in a different position than they were before. They have to conform to a different standard of society. Maybe a little more civilized society. And in doing so, the kind of rage that builds up because they're genetically predisposed to hate order, right? That kind of makes itself visible in the language of today, right? We did have to give up the language thing, but we would go on to develop a pretty extensive background canon around Klingons for the show, like crime statistics, stuff like that, which I think showed up in some of the supplementary material.
Right, and it was always on the minds of the writers when conceiving different Klingon characters and plots and such. Absolutely, yeah. We all kind of had like, ideas that maybe the fans didn't know we had. If I'm making sense. Later on in the series, when Alexander, Worf's son, pops up, the original title of that episode was Worf's Baby Mama. So right, yes, yeah, that's right. It manifested itself in many ways, that knowledge. But anyway, I was just trying to say we tried something different. Maybe it didn't work out so well, but it was not for lack of trying or lack of knowing or any kind of ignorance. Yeah, people always assume the worst when they do. Give professionals some credit. Yeah, please. So they do watch their friend die. Yeah, luckily, they made it back in time from their powwow session over some disgusting Klingon food, whatever it is, grits or something, and they watched their friend die. And here it was like a pretty good acting moment, I thought. Yeah, absolutely. So originally they were gonna have this Klingon monologue about this fallen warrior's honor and moving on to the next realm or whatever Klingon mythology was, but instead the actor who played Chorus opted to just look up at the ceiling and scream, and nobody knew he was going to do this, But the other two Klingon actors, Michael and I forget the other guy's name, they kind of turned and looked at him, and then they joined in. They looked up and they started screaming too. And you can see, like, in sequence 1, 2, 3, as they pick up on what's happening, join in. And that one moment added, like, so much to the Klingon lore of what their culture is. And later on,
that was
yeah.
I was going to say that was that take that you see, that was a one take deal.
Exactly. It was perfect. Later on in the episode, I forget who it is, but somebody has the line that nobody has ever seen the Klingon death ritual before. And that was also kind of thrown in at the last minute because we hadn't seen it before either until he improvised it. Which
truly no one had seen it.
Exactly. Fun little story.
Yeah, and that's why Vaughn is kind of a legend when it comes to the Star Trek guest stars. That's why you see him so many times going forward after TNG. This is the only episode I think he did of TNG, but he's a legend for it.
Right. He really left a lot of himself in the franchise.
Absolutely, and we really can't thank him enough for the Klingon death scream.
Right. It's a wonderful piece of media. I think I'll try to funge it because I like it so much.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. So
could you make it an NFT?
Could I make it an NFT? I would love to. I don't know if I can, but I would love to. I would love to make that an NFT.
Steal it and make it an NFT.
We don't own the rights to it, but we kind of do because we worked on it. So I don't think it
would
be a problem.
we were involved enough with it. I think they'll let us do it.
Yeah, part of the NFT process is having the idea to make it an NFT. And, right. Which kind of grants us ownership, I think.
We do need Trek NFTs. I think we're sorely lacking.
Exactly. Okay, let me take a break from our scheduled discussion to ask you, what would make the best TNG NFT?
I've already thought about it, Mitch. So get this.
Okay.
A digital 3D replica of the TNG bridge, right? Fully interactable in VR.
Ooh, that is good.
Right?
That is good.
Isn't it? You can sit in the captain's chair. You can mess with the little navigational computers. You can even walk into the Ready Room.
Right. Yeah. See, I was thinking more of like replicas of Data's paintings. Would be good. NFTs.
That would be cool too. Oh, dude, you could combine them, Mitch.
Oh my God.
You could hang up the paintings on the bridge.
Love it. And
you know what you could even do is on the bridge you could have these blank spots, these blank spots that very clearly stand out. That just say like pay $9.99 to fill this spot with Data's painting, and in order to make it feel like you have the full experience, you have to.
That's perfect. That's a $1 million idea.
It is. I think. I know a lot of powerful people listen to us, so looking forward to that collaboration soon.
Trek NFT. I'm in. So, interspersed with his death of one of the Klingons is the other Klingons being not forthcoming on what happened when interrogated by Picard.
Right.
And Picard's instantly like, I don't trust him. And Riker's like, should we do something about it? And Picard's like, no, let's not. There with Worf, it's fine.
And this, just because it's like Worf is supposed to be dealing with it, I guess. I mean, it's kind of his episode, but this episode kind of assumes a lot for how Worf would act about certain things when really he has no logical reason to act that way, right? I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is I don't understand why Worf is so culturally distinct from humans when he was orphaned at such a young age and has grown up around them for so long.
I think the idea is that it's instinctual in Klingons.
I guess, right? Yeah. Which, a lot of people don't want to admit.
Right. Exactly. It's there's a little bit of an uncomfortable truth, but it's there.
Yeah. But yeah, the episode does bring up the question that's never really quite fully answered, I think, in that, why would Worf's loyalty waver at all in the face of two random Klingons, especially ones who have betrayed the government?
Right.
Which
is what happens with them. They the Klingons have a peace treaty with the Federation. These guys are rebels because they don't want to abide by the peace treaty. They'd rather be at war. And they destroyed or killed everybody on that ship that they were found on, and that's like their first battle. And now they want to steal the Enterprise or destroy it because they're not okay being at peace. Really, this will Worf join these guys? Will he not? It culminates in the most awkward scene in that hallway when the Klingons are confronted by Tasha Yar. Oh, I gotta interrupt myself here. When
you're very excited about this,
I am. When Tasha Yar puts together a security team to go apprehend those Klingons, she and 4 yellow shirt guys show up. And one of those yellow shirt guys is the same guy who operated the transporter a couple episodes back, where we made our thumbnail that guy at the transporter. It's the same guy.
Who?
So, we have our video thumbnails.
Yeah.
One of the thumbnails we had was some random non-named character at the transporter. And that actor is one of the same actors who plays one of the security guys in this scene.
Well, that's a good eye. I'm gonna have to check with our producer on that one.
Yeah. Very, very high level stuff. But anyway,
very astute.
Yes.
Wow.
Anyway, Yar shows up and she's like, "Oh, Worf, they're bad Klingons," and Worf's like,
Right. Worf just stands there with a blank expression.
Right.
As usual.
He turns back and looks at them. It's like a scene in Air Bud where it's like Air Bud's loving fake owners and his true owner who's like an asshole, and they're like, "Air Bud, come to us." And the other guy's, "No, you will come here, Air Bud." And,
exactly.
And Worf literally looks back and forth between the Federation security crew and these two Klingons. Like, what is he gonna do? And then randomly, a woman and her child just walk out of the door, in the middle of all this, and the child runs up to the Klingons, who pick her up, stare at her, give her to Worf, who then puts her down, and and then they just walk off with the security crew.
They walk away. They don't go back in their rooms or anything.
No.
The little girl and her mother. They don't go back into the room where it's safe. They just continue to walk down the corridor back to wherever they're trying to go.
It's like, get out of my way, Klingon asshole! I got places to be.
And you failed to mention the hilarity that was Tasha Yar putting in a notice for a potential kidnapping, and then 5 seconds later reneging on that.
That is very good. I did forget about that. It's truly bizarre because, as is explained, Klingons don't take prisoners or hostages because that's cowardly.
Right.
But then why did this Klingon pick up the child in the first place? Just so he could give it back to Worf, and then Worf could give it back to the family?
Right.
Just to establish everybody here?
Yeah, it does make you wonder what his end game was.
But yeah, imagine being on the other side of that communicator. Oh, we got a hostage situation? What? No, we don't. Okay.
Well, this is why Yar was going to get replaced anyway.
That's true.
Had a little bit of Freudian slip there.
Spoilers, man. Is that season 2 or 1?
It's 1.
Oh God.
It's coming up.
Yeah, her time felt like such a long time that I thought it was season 2.
I know. I have to say the old brig is really dumb looking.
Yeah, it's just
a hole in the wall.
Yeah, thank God you were able to put in the force field effect. Otherwise, there would be nothing to signify that it's a brig at all.
Actually, right. There's absolutely no infrastructure to be holding prisoners.
No. Later on, the brig gets into like a proper thing with like a monitoring station in the middle and several individual cells.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Yeah. Now it's like it's like a closet.
It is. No, it's like a third-rate YouTuber role playing in his mom's house. You know, kind of repurposing
Right.
the room.
It doesn't even have a door. I don't think. Like it's just an open hole with a force field.
I don't even think there was a force field effect.
No, I think there was one.
For like a brief second, though.
Yeah, it's like,
and
force field on, it flashes blue, and then it goes away.
Yeah, so it looks like it's not even there.
Yeah. So, once they're in the brig, the two Klingon warriors avail themselves of some pixie sticks that they brought on board and use those to create, like, a phaser or something.
Yes.
And then we have
Nintendo Labo weapon.
Yeah, it looks like it's held together by gum and dreams. So they also have something that disables the force field. I don't really get it, but they do. And then like a light action sequence begins where Federation officers just kill a prisoner without really much apprehension.
Yep.
Like they don't. Their phaser must have just been set to kill because he shoots the guy and he fucking dies.
Yeah.
They have a setting specifically to avoid this.
I will note, however, that despite being dead, Charles moves his jaw several times while on the floor.
Yeah, I thought that he was moving his face around to signify that he wasn't dead. And then Yar's like, "Oh, Captain, one of the Klingons is dead." And
maybe Yar just sucks at her job.
Like that Klingon's still alive. Stowing
he's
away.
Still alive. I have to note that the guy who shot Conmel, I think was his name.
Yeah.
The guy who shoots Conmel and kills him, then just kind of stands up straight and stares blankly down the hallway, waiting to get killed. He doesn't really attempt to like position himself, despite probably knowing that there are two Klingons.
He did his job. He got one of them. Someone else can get the other guy.
Yeah, he could have just like not died though, you know.
That's true. But we needed more gravitas going on. I don't have another good time to bring this up, so I'm just going to bring it up now. Did you notice how ridiculous Chorus's shoes were?
No.
They have like paper rectangles glued to them. They look terrible.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Please
I'm gonna have to give it another go because I didn't notice that. I thought the costumes in general were pretty good though.
The Klingon ones were certainly.
Yeah.
But just these shoes were not. So with these two guys like escaping, one of them now, I guess. Picard's talking to a Klingon ship that's come to collect them, and there's this weird display of ego where the Klingon officer's like, "Do you want our help to apprehend these guys?" And Picard's like, "No,
yeah, right.
I can handle it." It's like, why not get their help? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. That is a weird thing for Picard to do, I guess. But I mean, really, would you, as a ship captain, want another ship captain, especially a Klingon, to waltz up to you and start shit talking your crew?
No, but Picard several times has put his ego aside to follow the greater good already.
There are civilians on board.
Yeah, and certainly their lives quickly become in danger.
Yes.
So after having this whole moment to grandstand about how Klingons don't take hostages, Chorus then goes on to take the entire ship hostage by threatening to blow up its core.
Yes. Wow. So I guess he did die a coward.
Yeah.
We have some interesting vertical shots here in this engineering scene.
The second floor of engineering is the most intriguing thing in the entire show.
It doesn't really get used much after this, to my knowledge.
No, I don't think it does. I mean, it's got a ladder and an elevator, which is already like, yeah.
The whole time I was thinking, why is it worth taking the elevator?
Oh God.
We're in the future. We shouldn't have to take a ladder anymore.
The elevator is even like behind Chorus in the shot. You can get the drop on him.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier.
And it's not that Worf cares about subtlety, because he goes up there and he just immediately takes his phaser out, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking shoot you."
It kind of ends in, I mean, not so cool a way, right? You would think maybe they'd have like a sword fight or a fist fight or something.
I liked the dialogue there.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. I liked Worf's rationale. Their reconciliation of like the Klingon need for victory in battle, and versus the more human side with more emotion. And it's like the real battle's in here. It's in your heart, man.
Right.
And you're losing it, you fucking coward.
Right.
I thought that was cool. I like that. Yeah, I agree. I don't like so much how Worf's is like, all right, now I'm gonna shoot you. Could have shot you this whole time.
Oh yeah, and Chorus does really nothing to stop it. He just stands there.
You would think he would shoot his weapon at the core, which was the whole leverage that he had.
Right. Yeah, and he clearly didn't care if he died.
Right.
He's a Klingon. So, yes, very clumsy. Very clumsy standoff there.
Stuck the landing.
But yeah. So Worf does shoot him, and he falls straight through the glass. Vaughn wasn't supposed to do that.
No.
Which, I mean, come on, glass on a starship. It doesn't really make any sense, right? Like I said, this is the future. So what was supposed to happen is Worf shoots him, and so Vaughn was just supposed to fall into the glass, so Rob could get a shot of him like right below in a prone position, just for a little visual flair, right?
Right.
You'd see up through the glass as he kind of starts to die. But I guess he fell just a little too hard, and he just completely shatters the floor. I think, and drops right down to the ground.
I think a hard point on his costume like created a contact point with the glass that
would make sense. Yeah, that it shattered.
Right.
Yeah. And so he falls on the ground. And Rob would not let the action stop, of course. So that shock reaction you see from Chorus and the little groan he does at the end there, that's all genuine. It's a real reaction. And then of course Michael does the Klingon War Cry. He remembered that.
Brilliant.
Like right. Oh my God, that was perfect. And he's holding Chorus there. He was already fainted from shock in his arms, and just screaming. And we get the most beautiful shot, the most beautiful pan out of Michael doing the Klingon War Cry.
Less of a pan and more of a series of cuts.
The series of cuts, yes, yeah. Just beautiful stuff.
Oh yeah. It's a true "what am I fighting for" moment.
Yeah, it really is. That zoom out was silly.
It was extremely silly. But
And
when you have that much vertical space, I guess, what else are you gonna do?
Michael always looks like I say this every time, but he always looks like he's about to burst out laughing.
I think him and Frakes have very similar approaches to acting, where they have like one look that they react to everything with, and it's they always do like the inhale, so they kind of like puff up their chest a bit as their face takes that shape.
They kind of do like the DreamWorks face a little bit. Yeah. You're right. They absolutely do. Both have this like the one reaction. I think they do get better, of course, but.
But at the beginning,
it's funny to see.
It is.
It's definitely.
So there's I forget exactly where this line was, but I think it was in that final dialogue between Chorus and Worf. Chorus says the phrase "traitors of Kling."
Notice how I started laughing like before you even. I knew exactly what you were gonna say.
I have so many questions. Is that the name of the planet? Kling?
That's the name of the Klingon planet. Yeah.
No way. I can see why they never bring that up. Holy shit, that's so bad.
What does he say? The traitors of Kling?
Traitors of Kling. Like these traitors of Kling.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely laughed out loud at that.
It's like you can get it. You piece together like, all right, I guess that's the planet, but man, it sounds
Come on.
Sounds bad.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Klingon approach to dead bodies, where they're always like, "Oh, it's just a vessel. You can burn it. I don't give a shit."
Well, I'm glad they prepared us for what would be done with the dead bodies of the other two Klingons by having the third one die first, so we could hear the line twice in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
What do I think of it?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of it?
Pragmatic. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Respect it.
I'm on board. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that's what they do with my body.
Just whatever.
Yeah. It's an empty shell now.
It won't be empty if they stuff it.
That's true. They could taxidermy me.
Have you ever eaten stuffed shells?
Yeah. With like the ricotta.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I remember actually, and this is dating me, I guess, but as a kid, I remember you used to be able to buy raviolis with meat inside. Can you still do that?
I don't think you can.
Never seen them.
No, but I'm intrigued, to say the least.
Yeah, you eat this like hamburger inside a ravioli.
I'll ask Manuela to make some.
Yeah. Do that. Yeah, and I mean, you can have me over too if you want.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Gotta do the test run first, and if they're good, then maybe
we can fly it by Brent. Maybe do a live stream.
Ooh, Readier Room live stream.
Yeah,
the readiest. That'd be the readiest room.
Ready. Yeah. Perfect. So let's talk about the end.
Yeah, the weird tone of the last 90 seconds.
The sitcom ending of this episode.
Yeah, I guess that's
the only thing that was missing. The only thing that was missing was everyone looking at each other and laughing.
Yes. So at the end of it, they're talking to the Klingon guy, and he's like, "Worf, you did a good job. Come work for us when you're done on the Enterprise." And Worf's like, "Thank you. Whatever. Maybe I will." And
it would be an honor.
It would be an honor. And the call ends, and everybody looks at Worf, and Worf's like, "I was just being polite." And then silence for 30 seconds, like, really?
Right. Just horrible comedic timing too.
Right.
And it's awkward. And then you have that saccharine little response from Picard where he says, "The bridge wouldn't be the same without."
Yeah. It's
what?
Worf doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything. Why would Picard give a damn?
Right.
He's not that kind of guy.
No, I always liked those moments when the fact that they're coworkers is really like stated clearly, rather than best friends just because they're the characters on a TV show.
Right.
And this comes up later with Picard's approach to Data just being a tool on his crew rather than a real person. Like those logical displays of the relationships between the characters is good. Things like this, where it's like, oh, we all love each other just because we work together, and nobody else could possibly fill this void. It's a little ridiculous.
it's fine and it's welcome when it feels earned, but it doesn't feel particularly earned here. It feels like in this episode that the entire crew is kind of just learning who Worf is for the first time.
Well, the audience is too, I guess.
Yeah, well, the audience is, and that's fine, but it feels like the crew, like, this is the first time they haven't kept him at an arm's length.
Right. It's like, Worf, you can talk.
Yeah, they're horribly ignorant about, every aspect of his life, his culture, everything. So, I don't know. It feels a little bit weird.
Certainly. Well,
but
that's about the end of the episode then.
It is, yeah.
What did I think about it?
I guess all I can do is... What?
What did I think about it?
What did you think about it?
Yeah.
You thought it was a good episode for season 1. All I can really do is reiterate what I said before. It makes a lot of assumptions about things that shouldn't be assumed, and the action's a little lame.
I think I would put this in my upper echelon of season 1.
Definitely.
Right. But based on the impression I'm getting from you, I think I like it more than you do.
No, not at all. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. I think I like it as much as you do.
Okay. Because I'm a pretty big fan of this episode in context, obviously. I find the Worf stuff to be pretty successful, like divulging his character. I find that to be successful and interesting. I like learning about Worf. I like the Klingon cultural stuff. It's really just 1 or 2 action scenes that don't really make it, but for the most part, this is like just a decently solid episode, like a 7.
I think the exploration of Klingons struggling to try to find a place in the world where they're allied with the Federation is a very interesting concept.
Yeah, that is good.
I wish we spent more time on that, and I think we do. I think we do spend more time on that later. I wish we kind of drilled down more into that,
So I'm trying to think, like, what could have been cut to grant that more time, and it's certainly like all the Geordi stuff at the beginning that goes nowhere.
Definitely all the Geordi stuff, yeah. I don't know, actually. I mean, we could have had a completely different ending. It's less about cutting and more about refocusing the episode,
Yeah.
It's kind of an issue of this. This was more an introduction to Worf than it was an exploration of those themes, which is fine.
Of the people of Kling.
Yeah, the people of the traders of Kling, if you will. And I'm just saying that I thought the less explored theme was more interesting. Not to take away from the introduction of Worf's character, which was also good.
That is a common thread running through these episodes. The more interesting idea being the less developed one. But
and maybe there's a reason for that.
As opposed to the previous episodes where that was the case, though, I think that the secondary stuff, or the second most interesting stuff, the Worf stuff, is like really good here. So rather than just being robbed of this opportunity for nothing, we get something in exchange.
Definitely. So how many quad quarters would you give it?
How many quad quarters would I give it? That's a good question. I think it's not perfect. So I'd give it 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6 quad quarters.
Yeah, actually that's perfect. I think I would do the same.
One day we'll hit the full 6.
Yeah.
The sept factor.
Not for a while, but
yeah. Well, in that case,
I guess that feels it, huh?
Yeah, we
time for
the best part of the week.
Yeah. So,
should I take another shot at predicting the question?
Sure.
Something about Klingons.
Damn it.
Well.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep guessing.
No, that was it. That's all I got.
Okay. So, We're introduced to the Klingon planet
Kling.
this episode under the name Kling. What name is eventually settled on for the true name of the Klingon planet in Star Trek VI? And this is a multiple choice question.
Okay, thank God.
Is it Klingon?
Wait, one more time?
Klingon.
Klingon. Same thing as the
Klingon.
space. Okay.
Yeah, just Klingon. Is it Klingon, Ketumba, Kronos, Ultar, or Epsilon Sagittary B?
No way. No way is it Epsilon Sagittary B. Putting a kibosh on that. Fatumba sounds vaguely Klingon. I'm gonna... Oh god, it might be Klingon. Oh jeez. That's like dumb enough to work. Where it's like, alright, I'm writing a script. What's the name of the Klingon planet? Kling? No, Klingon.
No.
Fatumba, Klingon, Epsilon, Sagittarius, whatever. And what were the other two?
Ultar and Kronos.
Kronos, huh? They all sound like they could be it for different reasons. It's like this is where I am the least successful, by the way, where I'm thinking about these options. Ultar, Kronos, Klingon, Pumbaa.
Do you want to phone a friend?
Sure.
Who are you gonna phone?
Oh god, I gotta choose. Ghostbusters?
Well, you can phone me.
Alright, I'll phone you.
Alright.
Hold on. Beep, 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 beep. Will you pick up?
Yeah. Hold on. Click. Hi, Mitch. What's up?
Hey, I'm on a trivia game show right now, and I need your help. I have a multiple choice question I want to ask your opinion on. Alright, do you know Star Trek?
I know of it.
Okay, so the Klingons. In Star Trek VI, what is the name of the Klingon home planet? Is it Klingon, Pumbaa, Ultar,
It's Ketumba. Klingon Ketumba. Ultar.
Ketumba, Ultar, Epsilon Sagittarius 7, or what was the last one?
Kronos.
Or Kronos.
Alright, so I can tell you it's not Klingon.
Okay. Do you have any other insights?
That's all I can tell you.
Alright.
That's all I can tell you.
Alright, it's not Klingon. I might have chosen Klingon. Ketumba, Ultar, Kronos.
Ketumba with a K. Ketumba.
Ketumba. Kronos, Ultar, Epsilon Sagittarius 7.
B. Epsilon Sagittarius B.
V, sorry. Alright, I'm gonna go with
B.
B?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna go with Kronos.
Wow!
Yeah?
You did it!
Yes!
Unbelievable! Now, mind you, this is spelled QO''NOS.
Okay, had you asked me to spell it, I would have gotten it wrong, but I think had I seen the spelling, I would have chosen it quicker.
Yes, yeah, probably. I do want to note, however, that all of these were once the name of the planet at some point.
Really?
Yes, it's gone through like a dozen names. There's several more that I didn't list. But yeah, eventually Kronos was the one that was settled on for some reason.
Are all of these names like throughout novels or the original series or what?
Yeah, some are from novels, some are from like supplementary material. So Kronos was in the script of Star Trek VI.
Now, where did it settle? Like, if I looked up the lore today, is it still Kronos?
It's still Kronos, yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right, well, I emerge victorious again.
Congratulations.
I am unstoppable, cannot be stopped, and you best remember that. But that'll do it for this episode of the Readier Room. Join us next week where I try to keep my trivia streak alive. And until then, everybody, please stay ready.
The troublesome little man-child.
Consider that in the history of many worlds, there have always been disposable creatures.
Do you consider yourself superior to us? have told him to mind his own damn business.
But I stroked the beard thusly. Do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer! Freeze program.
It's not a promising beginning.